All right, welcome everybody back to another episode of the Big Doug and Carmi Show. You want to stop shop for all things Commanders. We are running through mock drafts on our way to the NFL draft, quickly approaching us next week, fellas. Our guest GM today to make the selections for the Commanders is Derek Brown from Fantasy Pros. Derek, welcome back, brother.
Oh, what's going on, boys? Looks like the Commanders had a wonderful 2024 season. Nobody could have possibly said that Jane Daniels was going to go scorched earth and light the league on fire. Oh, wait, maybe somebody did.
Yes, you did.
Derek was one of the earliest that we had on the podcast last year that told us exactly how good Jaden was going to be. You were high on him before I heard very many people. When most people were still thinking it was Drake May, you were yelling at us that it was Jaden Daniels. Brother, you were right. He was electric. He brought all the juice to the district in a way that I don't think even some of those that were high on him could have expected that it'd be that high. We'll get you back later in the year to do more fantasy stuff, but I'm curious where you think he goes redraft this year.
Ooh, wow. He's going to probably go in that third or fourth round area where like your top elite quarterbacks go, where we could see, in previous years, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. I think probably in that fourth round range, if I just were to pick this out of thin air without looking at ADP, I think in some areas you'll probably see him go in the third round, which means, I freaking love Jaden Daniels, but I don't know if that price or how much I'm going to have him this year in redraft.
Mm-hmm.
Where does he rank among the quarterbacks?
Oh, geez.
I know we're hitting you early.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm pulling up stuff right now. I just actually spit shine and refreshed my 2025 rankings 3 days ago as I was these things need a little bit of an update. I've got Jaden Daniels as QB3 behind only Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. And I think the conversation for him starts at QB2. So he's a top 3 guy in my ranks and will be throughout the entirety of the process. Like Jalen Hurts isn't going to hop him. And I don't see anybody else that's even close to the conversation. Like even if you want to talk about Joe Burrow, but he doesn't have the rushing equity. So he's definitively not even going to be in that tier. So the floor for JD5 right now for me is QB3, and I don't see that changing.
Love that.
Yeah.
He's
so
good.
Debro, so before we get into this draft, we're about to have a mock draft for your RGM. I'm just curious your thoughts on the Commanders. Obviously, they had 12-5 last year, 14 wins in total. Things used to bounce right for us last year. Things look pretty well the way things shook out. I'm curious from a national perspective because you don't have any heart in the game, or whatever in the game. I'm just curious, do you think this is repeatable? Where do you think Washington's roster stands right now?
And we kind of talked about this a little bit before we turned the mics and the cameras on. I think that they hit Yahtzee last year. Like everything, they made a lot of bets last year, and I feel like they kept turning up aces, man. Like they kept hitting Yahtzee, they kept hitting blackjack. Like it was wonderful last year for them. I had really high hopes for this team last year, just that JD5 could elevate this roster, that Dan Quinn knows what the hell he's doing, and his ability to coach guys up on the defensive side and make that work. He proved that year after year after year with Dallas. And so I was hopeful for them. This offseason, I do kind of feel like they're treating this roster more like it is a full-formed, like legit year-to-year contender than maybe I think it is at its current iteration. And I'm not saying that I don't think the Commanders can go out and be a playoff team. They can go out and win 10-plus games. I will say that, there's still it's a lot of shuffling. Like for everybody that talks about everything they did last year, look, I love Luke McCaffrey and Ben Sinnott as prospects. outside of JD5, did they really get a ton back for their draft class? I mean, Luke McCaffrey, Ben Sinnott were absolute zeros last year. And I can't even tell you why that was the case, because they just literally got buried. And it doesn't look like they're trying to elevate them anymore entering their sophomore seasons, where it's like Zach Ertz got re-signed. They brought in Debo. Noah Brown is back. So I do feel like they're getting, as far as the team building approach with this, I feel like we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, where it's like the Commanders went out and had just a wonderful season, taking nothing away from that. But also we have to look at it as like, this was a team that was seen as they're entering a rebuild. While I feel like they played massively above expectation, is it realistic to consider them to do that again in 2025? Like, could they do it? Sure, they could do it, but as this roster sits currently constructed, it's not like Adam Laramie Tunsil in the offseason was a really strong move. I'm not saying that he's not a player, like a really, really good offensive tackle. There's also a reason Houston got rid of him too. Like, if he's a block, there has to be reasons. Now, some of that could be personality conflicts, off, whatever, however we want to dice that up. But also, like, if he's a top 5 tackle in the league and stuff like that, do you think Houston is living with that and just saying, we don't care, the dude's a freaking stud? So not taking anything away from that, but the offensive line is still, even no matter how you want to splice it up, probably, I mean, even if we're being kind, you're saying maybe they're
middle of the pack,
12, but they're probably middle of the pack. And where they're going to be, even with the addition of Tunsil, like, going to be in the middle of the pack. You look at the skill position players, like, we know what we're getting out of Terry. I mean, the backfield has nothing but questions. And now I think they answer some of those questions in the draft. But right now, as we sit here and talk about it, there are still questions there. Debo wasn't healthy. His motivation and his production year over year is kind of been very up and down. He's a free agent after this year. So what do they get out of him? What version of Debo Samuel do they get out of him? Like, I would love to sit here and paint you a rosy picture about he comes in and he looks like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Debo. That could be a reality. The other side of it is it could be a reality of the guy that he was last year and the year before that. And the years we've seen Debo have down seasons. You know, it's not like he's getting any younger. It's not like he hasn't had injury issues. And again, that's only on the offensive side. We've got questions, or I've got questions. Then you go to the defensive side and it's like, okay, the D line looks okay, but it's not amazing. I kind of question, what are your expectations out of Javon Kinlaw at this point of his career? Like, we're giving a lot, or we're putting a lot on Dan Quinn and the defensive coaches' plate to coach that to coach that unit up. Losing Jeremy Chin was a big loss this year. Their safeties don't look good on paper right now. Like,
were you a Jonathan Allen guy, by the way? Because we essentially traded Jonathan Allen for.
Yeah, I mean, losing Allen is huge too. I mean, I think Allen is. I think he's an above average player. Like, I don't think he's an elite player in any stretch, but I think losing an above average starter is definitely, it's not good, you know? So with all of this, like, I think the D line has some holes in it. Like, I feel like it's okay, but it's not great. Bobby Wagner, he played amazing last year. Father Time is undefeated, boys. Father Time comes coming for us all. Like, if I were to tell you that was this year for Bobby Wagner, would anybody be very surprised? And again, not tossing shade, dude's awesome, but can he keep it up another year when he is very much on the wrong side of 30?
Derek, is AP being too arrogant in his approach to this? Is the coaching staff being too arrogant in their approach that we can rock these 1 year guys for the next 4 or 5 years while we slowly piece the rest of it together? Is that sustainable? It's not a model we've seen used very often, particularly with rookie quarterbacks.
I'd say it's a little bit arrogant in the sense of they're making moves with the team, and they're making a lot of, and I'm not even saying it's calculated, it's very aggressive risks, considering you're burning future capital. Like, after the trades and moves they've made this offseason, they don't have a 3rd round pick. They don't have a 5th round pick. Now, in that Could they restore some of that in the draft we're going to talk about? Like, could they trade back and, accrue some more assets? That's possible. But if they don't, they're currently staring down the gun barrel of a draft class where they only have 5 picks total, only 2 picks inside the top 100, only 3 picks inside the top 130. So you're threading the needle thin here, boys, where it's like, you really have to thread the needle, and you can't afford to miss on these picks. And going back to last year's draft class, yeah, JD5 is freaking awesome. He was awesome. Mike Sanders still proved that he could play on the outside, but is that the long-term home for him? Do you really want him being your perimeter corner versus kicking him back to nickel? And if you take those 2 things away, where we're talking about it's a home run drive, I just talked about the other sides of their draft class. Like, they got zeros. They got nothing burgers from LMC and Ben Sennett last year. Can you afford, when you only have 5 picks in this year's draft, if you get nothing burgers out of 4 of those 5 picks?
Yeah, for sure.
Is this sustainable? And all of these veterans that you're making really aggressive bets on either having bounce back seasons, your ability to coach, or their ability to stay healthy, these are all really, really difficult things. When you look at the totality of how aggressive they're being and the bets they're making, they're basically saying with a lot of this, we fully believe in our ability to thread that needle, but also they're treating this roster like it's a full-formed roster, like you're 2-3 years into a build, and this roster is bulletproof, where it's like, do you really want to go to war week 1 with Will Harris and Quan Martin as your starting safeties? Do you really believe, based off of what he showed in the playoffs, and he got his butt cooked, roasted, what Lattimore can do at this point of his career, much less even stay healthy? So, I love the Commanders and what they did last year, and I don't want to come on here and poo-poo this and just throw tons of shade. I will say that I don't necessarily agree with the way they're approaching this. It just feels hyper aggressive, and their expectations are maybe a little bit too high that they can run it back and do all this shit again.
No, dude, we love it. So that's why you're on the show. We want your opinion, want the honest truth, right? So that's why we're on here. I guess the rationale is that Jin Dinas is a force multiplier. He could potentially elevate the people around him. My question to you is, do you think there's enough firepower in the wide receiver room or the running back kind of stable, and whether he can bring them up? And if there was one that you're more concerned about, which one would it be?
I'm not as worried about the running game, so to speak. Like, I think Kingsbury has shown enough even last year that they can make do in that department. Whether that's like you have to go all the way down the depth chart to Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez. If they were pushed into playing, can they do it? Yeah, to enough of an extent where they can get the job done in those roles if they got pushed into it. Now, I think they need to add a running back in this draft. We shall see how that goes.
100%.
But I'm more concerned about the wide receiver room. Like, what if Debo is not Debo? What if Debo is a shade of his former self? Then again, you're walking back into this room, just taking Debo out the mix with the same cast of characters and misfit toys that you did last year. Like, Michael Gallup might not even make it out of camp. You can't count on him for anything. If he gives you anything, even as a wide receiver 4 for this roster, kudos. But I personally don't even know if he even makes it out of camp.
Yeah.
So if Debo isn't Debo, you're walking into week 1 or he gets hurt at some point. At some point, you're going to war weekly with Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, and this is the rest of the characters. KJ Osborne, Chris Moore, LMC, Mike Strawn, and Casimir Allen, who I didn't even know that was an NFL player until just now. Like that.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing.
I'm with you, Derek. It's brutal. The fan base keeps saying DN, and I understand why at 29, because we've run this scenario a million times, and by 61, DNs are off the board, and the fan base is worried about the juice at the position. But to me, you're right. Expecting the kind of performance that you got from the receivers last year, I think is brutal. Those names you listed are not nice. You know, when you go into the season missing Diami Brown, I think you know exactly where the wide receiver room sits. I do think that the risk of Debo in a 5th round pick, I think, was was easy. I think they probably
Yeah,
made
that
that
was
one
fine.
easy.
I have no issue.
I thought it was
That was
interesting.
fine.
They brought in Wes Welker, who apparently was the guy that kept him weight-wise in shape when he was in San Francisco. So I like the little things they do that way, but that's not indicative of what's going to happen on the field.
Well,
I
we
think
can
wide
also talk
receiver
about
and
Adam
running back
Peters
are,
has he knows what he's getting. Like he spent time around Debo.
that's
So
right.
it's not like there's something to be said for the players you're acquiring and do you know these guys versus like it's almost kind of like every job interview or job situation we've all ever been. Like the person you interview, is that really the employee that you're getting for the next 6 months or a year? Like everybody can paint on the face of I'm not crazy and I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Eventually the real comes out. So Peters does have a background there. So maybe them making that bet on Debo, he's got a little more background than, any of us.
Absolutely.
All right, Joe, let's fire up this machine.
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah,
started.
That's a good little warm up right there.
Yeah.
Hey, Debo, do you think Debo Samuel has any fantasy value in your opinion?
He does. It's all going to be dependent on where he goes. I mean, just off the cuff, I will probably be lower than consensus on him than a lot of people. It's twofold. I mean, just where he's at in his career, the efficiency metrics, and I am kind of on the side that I think Washington does add a wide receiver.
I agree with that. Yeah. All right, we're going to fire it up. We're going to go through the draft. Debo, you are the GM, man, so you can pull the trigger on trades. You can pause it for trades. You can take a trade if it comes through. We're going to start up the draft right now. I guess before we get started right now, do you have any opinions on the draft or any surprise that you're going to see maybe potentially in round one? So someone off doesn't have to be Commanders per se. It could be top 10. Could be see Colson Loveland go to the Colts really early or something like that. Any intuitions you have before we get started?
Okay. I think we see 3 quarterbacks go inside the top 10 picks. That might not sound like a very hot take, but all the shit that's getting thrown out there about Shedeur Sanders and everybody wants to talk about him going down the board. Like I think it's Ward. I think Sanders does go 2 or 3 to one of these teams, and I think Jackson Dart goes to the Saints. And we might see another quarterback get into the first round, but I don't think that's a definite.
Wow, I love that. That's a good take, actually. Really interesting. All right, let's fire this thing up. Let's get it going. All right, we're starting the draft. Here we go.
Yeah, we are not trading up to the first overall pick. I saw that. I was like, hey, it's not happening.
All right, things shooting off the board.
Boy, they're just flying.
Woo! Yeah, they're flying off the board. Here we go. All right, so I don't know if you can see everything here. We're sitting at 29. Our most recent picks, Colson Loveland, James Pierce, Luther Burton. 3 strong picks. I wouldn't mind any of those in Washington. We're looking at the board over here. The best on the board, Kenneth Grant, Omarion Hampton, Omar Norman Lott, Gray Zabel. And you can see the board here. So you walk me through it. There are some trades on the board. We can look at that as well. And we could potentially
I want to trade back. Let's field some trades. Let's see what that looks like.
Okay, here's some trades over here. I believe the Bears want to trade with us. Who else? Jets, Dolphins, Panthers, and Vikings. So I don't know what you want to do here.
So we would get, looking at this, we would give them 29.60. What are we giving them?
I think we proposed the trades here.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. But nobody has sent us any, huh, George?
Yeah, no one has sent us any right now. Yeah.
Okay. So if nobody's sent us, we can stick and pick here. I'm totally fine. What's the wide receiver room look like? Or excuse me, the prospects that are available.
Yeah, let's take a look. We have L.K. Minor, Jaden Higgins, Jack Beck, Jalen Roy. Dude, wide receivers flying off the board.
Yeah, they flew.
Those are the best on the board. That's kind of crazy, actually. Wow.
Yeah, so it looks like Ibuka went, Golden went somewhere, Tet went. Golden went. Yeah, so we're not going wide receiver here. What does
running back, edge, cornerback, safety?
I'm not worried about running back. For me, this is a deep class. We're going to take advantage of the deep class. Okay. I think right now, what's the board look like for corner?
Corner, take a look. That's a good call. Trey Amos, Benjamin Morris, Maxwell Harrison, Siobhan Rebel. There's some good corners on the board.
Yeah. Are the 2 big safeties gone?
Yeah, they're both gone.
Yeah, Winslow from Penn State is the next one on the board.
Yep.
Oh, then
Winston.
We missed the because dude, honestly, one of my favorite bets right now is Washington Commanders plus 900 to go safety. I mean, dude, it's just a glaring need. They're not going to walk into week 1. with the safety. So like if they get Imanwari or Starks falls to them, or they can do a mild trade up, I think they're definitively going to do it. I think we go corner here, boys. I think that makes the most sense. So who is it? Amos is on the board. Who else
Amos
is there?
Probably the best one. I can find the big board here. I agree. I think if Malachi Starks falls to 29,
we're going Amos.
Okay.
We're going Amos. That's what we're doing.
I love
it's
this
either
pick.
it would be between him and probably
Revel?
him and Revel for me.
Yeah.
I love Darian Porter too. Like if we were sitting in the second round and going quarter, I've been mocking Porter to them in round 2 consistently. But in this thought exercise, let's go Amos.
All right, let's do it.
Feels a wonderful need for them. Like you're giving yourself insulation if Lattimore can't do that. The other thing about it is like now you have a starting trio of Marshawn Lattimore, Trey Amos, and you're able to kick Sanderstill back into the slot, and you got Noah is able to be your CB4, and if Lattimore does go down, now we already have proof of concept. Then fine, Lattimore misses any time. We still got Sanderstill and we got Noah as a CB4 that can go play nickel. So we're ready to rock.
Absolutely. All right, back up on the board again.
Is the problem with Morrison for you the hip injuries, or you just like Amos's game better?
I like Amos's game a little bit better. I think like when you look at the fit between these different guys, I think I like Amos's game. Like we could talk for days about Dan Quinn likes to bump up the man rates and play a lot of man press at times. I think he can do that with Lattimore, but I think like Amos has shown that he can do that in a pinch, but he's a really damn good zone corner. I like his game a little bit more than Morrison.
All right, back up on the board again, number 61. We did PFF. So PFF, they offer us teams that offer trades, but we have to potentially put together the trades if you want some. So the Jets, 49ers, and Cowboys are there if you'd like to potentially explore a trade, or we can draft best player.
I'm fine moving down. Yeah, no, I'm fine moving down on this.
All right, cool. So basically we have the Jets, 49ers, and Cowboys offering 73, 75, and 76, and we can have to potentially play around with that. So I don't know who you'd be interested in. We can try the Jets or the 49ers if you'd like.
So the good thing about us going corner in round 1, we're going to miss because corner dries up. I think corner is going to dry up really quickly in round 2. So we got ahead of that cliff. So now if we would have gone to a different position, we'd be looking at, okay, well, how far back do we want to go? Because now we're playing chicken. We're losing the corner run, but we got ahead of that. So we're good. We're good. We can acquire some more picks. What's the board look like for running back and wide receiver right now?
All right, running back, Dylan Sampson, Quinshon Junkins, RJ Harvey, Damian Martinez, DJ Gibbs. There's some good running backs on the board.
There's some good running backs left. And wide receiver?
Wide receiver, we'll pull that up.
I bet you it got picked over at the top end of it.
Jalen Royals is still there. Kyle Williams, Trey Harris. There's a couple of good ones. Okay.
We
are going all Mississippi. Go ahead.
We are going to move back.
Okay.
So what are the offers we got sitting on the table? Or at least
closest to 76 or
so we have 73, 75, 76. So we can trade with any one of those guys. We have to construct the rest of the package. Just how
let's we can go back to 73.
All right. So 70. So we're going to basically 61 for 73. And then basically, I don't know what you want to throw in afterwards. So we'd have to probably
they got to throw us something for moving back.
Oh, that's true. So
let's get a pickup grade. Let's toss 110 and 128 there. So we're going to move up 18 spots later in the draft.
Okay.
Do they give any kind of like calculator as far as like what the likelihood?
Yeah, the green bars.
Okay, yeah, all right, I got you.
She probably
145 in there.
Let's put no.
Maybe
I'm actually looking at
for next year.
Let's get I want 26 capital, baby, because you can.
Yeah,
we can borrow. Let's definitely borrow because let me pull up how many picks. So the Commanders have already traded their 4th rounder away from next year. Let's see what does that borrow look like if we ask for the Jets 4th round next year.
It's looking good for whatever reason.
All right, let's kick that from a 4th rounder to a 3rd rounder.
All right.
I mean, if we're getting all the
sorry,
out,
I think I got a 10% chance for that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's give them. I'm all about wheeling and dealing here.
I love wheeling and dealing. Go ahead. It's perfect.
Let's give add our 5th next year to that.
No, not this year.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're right.
I'm right. Okay, got you.
That got us up to 36%.
36%.
Okay, let's give him 240. Pick 245.
41% chance.
Good lord, being stingy as hell,
Yeah, the
man.
Jets are being stingy as hell. Yeah,
Damn, they're being stingy as hell. Okay.
Yeah.
It sucks that we don't have the 4th rounder next year because that probably got the job done.
Yeah.
Yeah, would have gotten the job done. Let's take the pickup grade of 110 and 128 out and see if that changes the math. If not, then we could kind of figure it out from there.
Up to 67%.
All right. So we would give them 61, 245, and a 5th for 73
and a 3rd rounder next year.
And a 3rd.
I think we should get that 110 back.
I think we should get the one. Yeah, let's get the pickup grade back.
And then just maybe the 4th next year. Then
we don't have a 4th next year.
No, we take theirs instead of the 3rd work.
Oh, got you. Yeah, that's not bad. Want to do that?
No, Derek wants that down 3rd
Yeah,
for next
do
year.
what you got to do, Derek. I like it. Fight, dude. Go ahead.
Throw something in 2027.
Kick that 3rd back. Kick it back to a 3rd. I want that damn 3rd next year.
Okay.
And we're giving them a 5th next year. We give them a 5th and a 6th.
0% chance. Yeah,
Jesus
right.
Christ,
That's
man,
weird.
they're
That's
so stingy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
What
here.
if we just kick the 205 into this?
Oh, hold on.
I took 128 off.
I took 128 off. That's why.
Oh, yeah. He took 128 off. So, like, what if we give him a 5th next year? Or we already did that.
Yeah, so it's 30. We can want to offer it and see what happens. It's 30.
Yeah, offer it. Offer it. If they say no, then we'll continue.
Hey, they got it.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, I'm sitting here trying to get it over 50%.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. All right, cool. All right, so they're on the clock.
And I'm sorry, I see in the chat here. No, we are definitively looking at this roster. DE is not near the need that you think it is. But anyway.
All right, let's give it a whirl. I like it. All right, so let's resume the draft.
Yep, let's go.
I like it.
I like this too.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
More picks for next year.
There we go.
More
All right,
picks,
so
man.
back
You got to
on the
reload
board
the
again.
cupboard.
And Kevin Jr. is still there.
Yeah, we didn't miss much. Let's take a look. So we're on 61. What did we give up? Maybe Quinshon Junkins went to the Eagles. I don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening.
Dylan Sampson's gone. So we also two running backs. But I think your boy Trey Harris is still on the board, which would be screaming value right there. Screaming value, in my opinion. Jalen Royals, Kyle Williams, Trey Harris. But we could also look at other things.
What does Edge look like too? Because I'm not opposed to adding to Edge here.
Mm-hmm.
Edge.
Femi Oladipo is a guy that the fan base is in love with.
They love him. Give me Trey Harris. I want Trey Harris.
I like it. I like it.
I want it. And so for any of the fan base that are tuning into this, just be mindful again. Like, this is not just saying, okay, after Debo and Terry, you all do realize that Debo Samuel is an unrestricted free agent after this year, right? So if he leaves, you are back to it's Terry McLaurin and it's a whole lot of nothing. So is that really what you want to be staring at next year? I don't.
I think there's one thing to keep in mind as well, as being in part of the industry for a long time, the needs change year over year, right? We're screaming potentially edge right now, but as the years go on, we might need that wide receiver later. So I don't mind a Trey Harris pick at all. I think it's a great addition. All right, so here we go. So let's take a look at our picks so far. So we got Trey Amos, Trey Harris. We have a Ole Miss Rebels draft so far. I like it. Going back on the board.
I mean, we're doing the opposite of the Eagles. The Eagles go for all the Georgia guys. We're going Ole Miss, baby. We're going Ole Miss.
Let's do it. All right, so this is the big board in front of us. Kyle Williams, Ashton Gillette, Savion Jones, R.J. Mickens, Jaden Blue's on the board. We can explore running back if you want to touch that right now. We can look at other things. Whatever you like.
Okay. Go to safety.
All right.
I did dodge safety.
I think the kid from Penn State's still here, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. No, I guess he's gone now.
That's Billy Bowman. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I don't. After the first couple of safeties, I'm kind of at a loss. I don't really know.
I mean, I was. Yeah. If I could rewind it, maybe we should have gone Makuba, but it's woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
I definitely think go to best available. Just who's on. Like, if we just want to go full BPA and say forget the rest of it. Okay. Tesla, Horton. Okay. What's running back look like? I'm curious what PFF's rankings, if we're going to shock, because we're in the fourth round here.
Debra, which one do you typically use? Is there a simulator that you kind of favor more than the other?
No, I mean PFF's fine. There's a few different ones out there. I think they're all kind of what and what.
I agree.
Keep rolling down. Oh, geez, okay.
Yeah, they went.
Yeah, we're going Bashal Tootin. That ranking is wrong. No.
Right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I like him too.
I do too. Yeah.
It's we're going some juice, some speed.
Yeah. He shouldn't be on the board in the fourth round. That's teams have done messed up and then they found out.
Do you have him?
The running backs did fly off the board because there were like 8 of them that were above.
They did. If his ranking in their aggregate wasn't off that much, then he should have already gone too. We just got lucky.
We try to use a mix of the different draft formats, so it gives you kind of a different idea of where guys may be and where they fall, which has been interesting.
Yeah, and then everybody's got their own rankings, and I think some of the stuff doesn't seeing it update in real time. You know what I mean? Or seeing it update. There's a lag. I'll put it that way. Is what I'm trying to get.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lag.
Pro days, combine, just a little while.
And then you don't have as much content of people actually doing like full 7-round mocks. So there's only like a handful of like trying to get an idea of where guys are at.
So we got cornerback, wide receiver, and running back for Washington. We're back on the board at pick 205. Potentially a guard, maybe I guess we already have cornerback, safety. If you want to look at that, defensive line. Best value,
at this
whatever
point,
you think.
I just think when you're this late, you're not trying to fill needs. You're trying to honestly
special teams.
You're going BPA.
Okay.
I mean, to me, like if these guys hit and they're on your roster, then kudos. You know what I mean? Like, but so go up. Let me see here. I'm just kind of looking at all the different positions here and looking at consensus boards. Are we getting a steal on
write-up that they have on RJ Mickens, will you, George?
Okay.
Mickens was standing out to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going Mickens here.
All right.
Yep.
So we got a safety.
Which I'm with you, Derek. They need a safety.
They need a safety. I think if we could rewind this, like maybe we should have gone for Makuba at 74 and then address wide receiver later, considering the board. But you know, it's you have two needs, and really, it's who's gonna. Do you trust Dan Quinn's ability to hide any kind of secondary concerns with the pass rush and with coverage and stuff like that, or do you trust the offense to function if they are down a few players, or considering the state of that wide receiver room is kind of what it comes down to for me. Plus looking at the future too. So
because Jeremy Chin didn't like catch the bag out there in Las Vegas, like they could have.
Yep.
That was a decision they made based on what they wanted, I guess, because my understanding was he was definitely willing and interested in coming back. I thought they had more interest in him. The price tag shows you that they weren't that concerned about it. So I thought that was one of the more interesting things of the offseason for them.
Yeah, I agree.
Go back to there's one guy that stood out to me. Go back. We could double tap running back here, maybe. Go back to running back and see who's out there. There's one guy that I freaking love, and I don't know if he's still on the board.
I think the Commanders brought Corey Kiner in. They're looking at like later round draft picks, later round running backs from what I'm gathering.
I was hoping Taj Brooks would still be there. I love Taj. Let me see. I mean, dude, consider this is our last pick.
Yeah,
we're in round 7. Go to wide receivers. I'm going to take my guy here. I'm just going to take my love list. If you're looking for the heir apparent to Deebo Samuel in this offense, we're going Elijah Badger.
Okay, interesting. I don't know much about him.
Oh yeah, pull him up real quick.
Yeah, what do you like about him, Deebo?
Talented as shit player. In Arizona State, the 2 years before going to Florida, he operated in a low A-dot missed tackles force role. If you look at just his numbers and yak per reception, that it stands out in 2022 and 2023. Now did have dude, he's really good. And so in Florida in his final year, they changed him to being a field stretcher, which considering you got Mertz playing there and he is dog water, was an interesting choice, but you know, we all have choices to make. Elijah Badger, dude, I honestly, like at this point, I think if the medicals check out, because he did have a back injury in 2023, I think you could be getting a round 3, round 4 player here at round 7.
let's give it a
Right.
whirl.
So it's a
And
steal.
again, as we always say, George, like another name that I don't think has been brought up in the cycle as far as our show goes. And that, I mean, that's why we do these things, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're about to wrap it up. Deeper, we flew through that board. I don't know if you have time for like another quick one.
No,
man.
we can run this back.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do y'all want to run this back?
Yeah.
Because I'd love to see how this
Well,
kind of play out if we do go safeties or how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I was going to suggest is we can try the I think the Pro Football Network.
How the hell is Bashal Tootin in the 4th round in F? I'm sorry. I disagree adamantly with that. Get out of here. That's Bush League.
I
I
do too.
agree.
Disagree.
So let me screenshot this real quick. So what I typically do, Bro, is we save them and we put them up on our board. And which one do you guys like better? We kind of have the fans kind of vote on it too. So I'll put that on there to save for this one. And then what I'll do is let's go try the Draft Network board because that one actually offers you trades. It's kind of fun that way too. So
yeah, no,
that'd be cool
I'm totally
to
down,
kinda
boys.
Not the Draft Network, but the
Pro
PFN
Football,
365.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Pro
I'm
Football
totally
Network.
down.
Although we've been
So what
using
are they? B plus, if I read that right. What?
Let me take I think it said yeah, I'll double check on it real quick. I think they said
they're
give us
pretty
a
much
B
all
plus.
B pluses.
Because outside of them shitting on my Bashal Tootin pick,
Yeah,
the rest
they
of it looked like we
crushed
got
on that
B's and A's, boys.
Exactly.
Yeah, they hated you. Go to fast on these, George.
Okay, good zip file real quick. All right, here we go. So we're gonna go on the board. I actually like the Pro Football Network one better. Actually, now that we've done it again, Doug, this one's actually zip filing, offers you trades.
Yeah. The layout we've been doing the Draft Network because the last couple of guys are from the Draft Network, and there's this really slick too.
That's pretty sexy.
So we have three trade offers coming our way. That's how this one works. So we have 38 and 69, which I do like.
We're taking that.
They have 43
taking that
75.
unless we get something crazy.
43
next year
75.
is not
Second next
bad.
year is pretty nice.
A second next year is not bad. Yeah.
And then they have 35, and then the second for next year for Tennessee.
And what was the first one, George?
The first one was 38 and 69.
So you're getting a second and a third back. What's the one from San Fran? Peters is getting an alley-oop from his old.
Yeah, actually, yeah, high
So
five.
going back.
43.75 in a second next year is.
Well, I was fixing to say that's a big, and we're giving up 128. No, we're taking the first trade. I mean, I think. What do you think, boys?
And there's one more 35 in a second for next year. I guess.
I mean, I'm kind of either we take the pick, we take the trade for New England, or do you want to take the trade? I don't like the one from
San Francisco.
San Fran. I'm on board with, and I'll leave it to you boys. Which one do you want to take out of the New England and the third trade is kind of where I'm leaning.
I think for the purpose of this exercise, we'll do this one to have more fun and talk about the draft picks.
Yeah, sure.
It's cool to have second round picks and stuff, but it's more fun to talk draft.
Well, and the other side is that like they have plenty of picks still left. They haven't ripped everything out of the cupboard for 2026 yet. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you really absolutely need, like they could also add more equity later in the draft too if we're already trading back.
Absolutely. So we will take that trade. But before we do that, I want to look at the boards to kind of give the fans some context and give us some context. So we're looking at the last three picks: Jahad Campbell, James Pierce, Dick Scorton, Tyler Booker coming off the board. Some good players: Walter Nolan, Emeka Ibuka, Jackson Dart, Omarion Hampton, Luther Burden on the board right now. So going back to 38, we'd be giving up about 9 spots. There's some good players. Donovan Izaraku's still there, and there's some good players. I think that the trade's definitely worthwhile. So you still want to go through with it?
Yep. Sign, seal, deliver, baby. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Pull the trigger on it. Another trade offer on the board. This is the only one available, 47 and the second.
No, I don't want to give up 128. If they wanted to come up and for the 9 spots and they want to be aggressive and give us 47 and even like a third next year or a second, I consider the move back, but you ain't getting 128. Cardinals piss off.
Yeah.
I love it. No nonsense. All right, so we're sitting here. Omarion Hampton at 38 is a pretty good value. Donovan Izaraku's right there at 37 as well, but I don't want to leave the witness. I'll throw it over to you. Who do you see? Who do you like?
Okay, so corners, okay. Dude, Izaraku shouldn't be there.
I know.
I'm not trying to play to the fan base, but Izaraku shouldn't be there. Let's take him.
All right, cool. Let me show you your options. Here's some cornerback options if you want to look at
corner
that.
still looks really juicy, dude.
Yeah,
like I think we can push it.
And there's edge if you want to look at the other edge.
We're taking Izaraku.
And what were the wide receivers left, George, real quick?
All right. Trey Harris, Royals, Higgins, Wyoming. Yeah, so there's some good players.
We're still pretty flush here. It looks like there was a lot of run on like offensive line and other positions. So this is actually working. The board is definitely turning in our favor right now.
I agree. I think Izaraku's the pick, honestly. I think if he's available
Yeah.
from Washington, they're going to get him because
Bro, at 38?
Yeah,
38? Yeah.
At 30,
Yeah,
at
let's
30,
go, yeah.
absolutely. I'm talking about 29.
That's
but
when
yeah,
you can get
30
me interested in edge. At 38? Oh, yeah, dude.
There
Uh-huh.
you go. All right, here's another offer coming our way. That's actually a pretty sexy offer. Well, we lose our second round pick. I don't know if you like
You
that at
dropping
all.
back 20 picks. Let's see who's on the board before we take anything.
Here's another
There's
offer
one
too.
more
Just
pick,
take a
too.
look.
That's
Wow,
too
that's
much.
nothing. That's too much.
Yeah.
Get
Raheem
out of
Morris, you started day drinking, bro. We ain't taking that shit. No way.
All right, so look
No.
at the board. Quinshon Junkins, Marcus Bow, TJ Sanders, Jaden Higgins. I like him. Darren Porter, your boy. Kyle Williams, a couple of people. Harold Fannin, Jack Beck. There's no players. What do we took edge in the first round, so we were 61. So we satisfied.
What does corner and safety look like right now?
Best corner on the board, Darren Porter. Kind of a fall
about
for
to
that.
fall off. What does safety look like? Winston.
See, I'll be honest with you. If you have some knowledge to kind of drop on the safeties, I don't really know much about them. Either one of you guys. I don't know if either one of you.
I've watched a few. Like I've done some homework on the top guys. I haven't gone deeper than Winston.
Yeah. Okay.
So really, kind of like the depth of the guys that I'm kind of interested. You know, somebody could hop in here and tell you more about safeties than I can. But I would say Makuba and Winston. Winston's kind of like the watermark for me.
Okay.
So it's like, so when's our next pick after this?
We got
61. And we got 69.
Yeah,
we are on 61 and 69. Yeah,
we're taking Darren Porter here, and then we're just playing the safety roulette and hoping one of those guys falls to us.
All right.
Like if we can get Porter and Makuba, dude, I'm cutting like naked backflips if I'm in that draft room.
Oh, here's another trade coming our way too. I don't know if you like this at all.
No.
We move back 2 spots.
Mickey Loomis he just did a line of crack. No, I'm not taking that.
And then here's for the Broncos.
No, again, we're fine sticking and picking.
Sticking and picking, baby. All right, look, Jaden Higgins. What do we have? We picked Ezra and Porter. Okay, we have another Iowa State Cyclone. If we want to take Jaden Higgins, we have Mbuka, like you mentioned over here.
What are your thoughts, real quick, on Harold Fannin Jr.? A lot of people are big on him. I'm less excited about him. He looks like he's got heavy feet, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I think he's tight in the hips. I think he's tight in the hips. And if we're going to talk about all of the skill positions, the one that is most highly correlated to high-end athleticism and alien athleticism translating to you need that to access being an elite tight end in the NFL. Harold Fannin obviously definitively does not have that. And I think he's a tweener, dude. Like I think he's closer to being Jaheim Bell and going in the 5th round than he should be going in the top 3 rounds of the NFL draft. So no, you can miss me with him.
I'm with you on there 100%.
What does wide receiver look like right now?
Jaden Higgins, Kyle Williams, Elkai Minor, Tez Johnson, Torrey Horton.
Okay, we got some options there later. I kind of like. Dude, I mean, I just want the Yahtzee. I want to go back to safety. Is Makuba still there, right? I'm not crazy.
No, he's still there.
Yep.
Yeah, we're taking Makuba.
Let me open him up real quick. I'm just kind of curious about him. 5'11", 186. Cool.
Yeah, Raz wasn't great, but dude, I mean, safety, you can, I mean, we have the Kyle Hamilton conversation where he tested like absolute crap and then he's perfectly fine in the NFL. So it all just depends on how you're getting deployed and stuff too.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Let's pull the trigger.
So, dude, we just filled tons of needs for the Commanders.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got long-term edge. We got corner. We got safety. We're rebit and ready to roll on the defensive side. Now we go take some fun picks.
Have some fun. Get some picks on the board. The Vikings are interested in trading with us. 139 and 202 for 128.
That is not enough to come up. No, not coming up like 11.
Not 10 spots at this point. Yeah.
I love you, Quasey, but hell no.
All right, let's go to the big board. We're looking over here. Tootin's on the board in the 4th round. I don't know. He keeps coming. That's a pretty good pick in the 4th round, in my opinion.
Why is he hated? What are we doing here?
I don't know.
Go to running back because I'm curious if they're on the board. Who else is on the board that
RJ Harvey, Devin.
Oh man,
those guys are great picks.
We're taking Harvey. We're taking.
You like
Harvey.
him? I like Harvey too.
We're taking Harvey.
I like Harvey.
We're taking Harvey.
Yeah, I like him. That's funny. So you would take Harvey over Tootin. Now,
Yes,
I'm not opposed to it. I'm just curious. Why do you want to go that route?
Because RJ Harvey is a 3-down back. People, as much as Tootin have talked him up after the combine, I really, really like the kid.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a conversation to be had about his pass game abilities and the fumbles, man. The fumbles are a big part of the conversation for him. Like, he's got, I think, like 9 fumbles over the last few years. I think it's like the last, or maybe it wasn't just last year, but like over the last 2 years. And it's just, those can be a question mark until they're not a question mark. And so as much as I like Tootin, the other thing about this is you look at the archetype of backs, like neither one of these guys kind of fit the archetype of backs for Cliff. Like, I don't know if this is a pick that Cliff and the front office is probably going to be making, like go down. Like the guy that I think like fits the run game scheme. Really, did he already go? Did GJ Giddens already go?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
He's
shit.
been going pretty early, actually.
All right. Well, never mind. I was going to sit here and wax poetic about DJ Giddens, and now you can maybe get him later. And then
he went.
The draft simulator's like, no, you can't do that. No.
So just to give you some context, I don't know how deep you went into the running back core. The Commanders have been loosely tied to Corey Kiner. I think they had a virtual with him, or maybe a visit where he came by and Corey Kiner came in. And they've been talking a lot about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt.
Dude, I like JCM. JCM is a very good player.
Okay.
If JCM would have been able to play this last season in college, which, I mean, it's unfortunate. The kid got screwed.
It was like an eligibility issue or something.
Yeah, it was an eligibility issue, and then they held him on their roster, and like it's like I would have been like, screw you guys, I'm out. Like, put me in the portal, like I'm gone. So it's unfortunate that happened to him. He's definitely a guy that needs to be earmarked, like with one of our later picks. And I'm fine. The other thing about this is I'm okay like double tapping certain positions in certain drafts. I mean, like we just did with wide receiver earlier. Like, if you have needs there, you need to address them. So, you're not tossing high-end capital. And with this pick of RJ Harvey, I think the difference between him and Tootin also is, I know there's an age discrepancy there, but the thing that we're saying with taking a 24-year-old running back at this point of the draft is you're saying with a 24-year-old, we expect him to come in and compete to be the starter right now. Yeah. And I think if we're looking at that versus Tootin, and we're looking at a backfield, because Brian Robinson Jr. is a free agent after this year. Austin Eckler is a free agent after this year. Let him come in and compete. Like, what did B-Rob do last year or Eckler do last year that should give them a huge leg up over any rookie coming in? So if the front office takes somebody like RJ Harvey over Bashal Tootin at this point in the draft, they're saying, okay, this guy legitimately could walk into and will compete for the starting job in day one. And that's what we think about the talent with a 24-year-old running back and making the selection. And I think RJ Harvey is absolutely equipped to do that.
Debra, what's your thoughts on the running back renaissance? Right, we keep hearing that there's a new wave in the NFL and running backs are starting to become in vogue again. I could see both sides to it. I see that Saquon Barkley really changed the Eagles. Derrick Henry really changed the Ravens. But the same cloth, those guys are elite special players that traded from one team to the other. Do you think there really is a running back renaissance, or do you think there's two great free agents went to two new teams?
I think there's more respect being put on running backs' names. I think we all kind of joked before. It was like, mamas, don't let your boys grow up to be running backs. But nowadays it's like they're getting paid. But the other side of this, and I like how the NFL is adjusting. Can we also say, if you look back at the career arcs of running backs in the late 90s, maybe even if we're going to go to the early 2000s, you had guys getting second and third contracts playing into and being incredibly productive at their age 28, 29, 30 seasons. And it wasn't like, oh, well, you're past the age of 27. Screw you. You're out. Like that. Aaron, the second tier of this also happening. Aaron Jones getting extended by the Vikings at his age and stuff. I do think that there's a certain amount of validity of this to where there is more respect being put on running backs' names in the position, because also the NFL is changing. You're talking about they're going to more too high coverage. They're taking away the deep ball. They're taking away the splash plays. And that's something else we could get into. If the Commanders want to also, because where they got explosives out of their offense last year was all JD5 and it was all Terry McLaurin. If you want to get into this where the NFL is saying, okay, because of the way that defenses are playing us, we're not going to get as many explosives through the passing game. So we have to adjust. And again, that's going back to the Commanders. They did that last year despite the way that the NFL is doing it. So if the NFL, say the teams they play this year want to go through and say, we're playing a shit ton of too high against you, we're going to give a lot more defensive attention against Terry, you have to either be able to nickel and dime and use the other pass catchers underneath to account for that, or you need to generate explosives in the run game. Do any of us think that that's going to happen with Austin Eckler at this juncture of his career? Jeremy Nichols? Brian Robinson Jr.? Is that going to happen? Hell no.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to add to that and give ourselves an explosive element on the ground, not only with JD5's legs, because again, I don't want Daniels to run as much as he did to open the season. I don't want that. Nowhere, shape, form, or fashion should any Commanders fan want that either. You want him to stay healthy and you want him to stay productive. Because there was an area the last year, and I will say this with my chest, I don't give a shit what Dan Quinn said after that Eagles game. JD5 was not fully healthy. He was still dealing with the rib stuff. If you go check the film, he wasn't healthy. So we need to keep this guy healthy. If he is the driver and the captain of this ship, and you are only going to go as far as JD5 carries you, you have to add explosive plays in the ground game with the running backs, and you got to do something with his backfield, man.
I agree. Berlin's health too.
Well, and George, we talked about this on the show a year and a half ago. It wasn't if, but when the running backs became more in focus, because as you're putting more safeties and smaller safeties on the field, the more your linebackers get to 220 pounds, that's great. Now I'm going to rush the ball. I'm going to run the ball all down your throat, because this is what you've allowed me to do. I think we always knew it was going to be if, just when. I think the running backs got bigger faster than maybe I had thought a year ago, like maybe it would take a year, but you can see the importance the focus is being shifted back to the running backs. And in 3 years, when they start putting bigger linebackers back on the field, it'll switch again. Like that's what happens to this, right? It's a cat and mouse game with coordinators year after year.
Because all your D linemen are they were getting smaller. It's more of a speed game and stuff, and getting speed off the edge. You don't see like how many teams are running out these giant freaking nose tackles. Like, your job is just to be a giant human and to clog some holes. Like, that's not the case as well too. So
we had Devin Jackson on a couple of weeks ago, who covers the Eagles. And I was asking him about Big Jordan Davis. I thought he'd be, and they have a hard time trying to get him on the field, right? Because he's actually not what the league's looking for. They thought he was going to come with some pass juice and just never brought it.
Yeah. The game's changed, man. No more fullbacks, no more nose tackles. We're not seeing that much anymore. So it's crazy. All right, back up on the board as Iraqi, Porter, and Buka Harvey, man. I kind of like our haul so far. It's a good little balance of players. So looking good. So we're at 205.
A little bit after that Trey Harris pick last time. I kind of got over my skis. I was like, shit, we should have gone safety. As soon as I made the pick, I was like, what does wide receiver look like?
Let's go take a look. Caden Prey there, Kobe Hudson, Jimmy Horn Jr. Not really looking like strong.
My dude's still there.
Oh, yeah, by Badger still here.
We're going back to the Badger well.
Right now?
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, cool. I got to look into him now. You're really excited about him. I like
he's my receiver 8 of this class, so I just want to be 10 on that.
All right, there you go. All right, last
wait, I'm lying. He's my wide receiver 10. I don't want to sit here and talk some shit that's not actually true.
Trying to go get a stat check on it.
He's my wide receiver 10. If you take Travis Hunter out of my wide receiver rankings, if he's a full-time corner, he's my wide receiver 9.
Okay.
So,
all right, on the board.
Trevor Etienne's still on the board. That's interesting.
Yep. Edge, corner, safety, running back, wide receiver. So we're pretty well balanced. BPA 245. You can do whatever you want. I don't know. It's up to you.
We waited on running back. What does running back look like? I see JCM is still out there. Who else is on the board still?
We did.
We're gonna rebuild this running back room, but we're gonna do it cheaply. We're gonna let B-Rob and Austin Eckler walk next year, and RJ and somebody else is coming in. Dude, let's just take my dude Merritt.
All right,
let's go JCM.
Let's do it. I like it.
Like that kid a lot.
Perfect. That's a good looking board. So it's going to be interesting. I don't have it right now, but I'm going to basically post our last draft. But I think walking away, I like this one better than the first one.
I like this one a lot better than the first one. Like I had buyer's remorse. I wish we'd have gone safety instead of the wide receiver position.
Yeah.
And this one, we're addressing running back. Like obviously, we're addressing the skill guys late, so they have to hit on those picks and stuff like that. But really, it's the defense that's getting the big bump here. So, and the other side of that too that we haven't even mentioned here too. So say the dominoes that haven't fallen yet, we still have Amari Cooper out there on the free agent line. Like it's not crazy. Yeah. Like there are still some veteran options out there for the wide receiver market that if you wanted to bring them in and kick the tires to address wide receiver, there are some veterans still out there that can do the job. If like we get through the NFL draft, they're all still sitting out there, which at this point, I think that's the case. I think a lot of these guys are waiting until after the draft happens or an injury to sign. I mean, could the Commanders bring in Amari Cooper off the street and then add to the wide receiver room? And now we just fully restock the damn cupboard on the defensive side. Let's go.
It's been interesting there because we brought people on I wasn't sure how it would work, having non-Commanders fans on to do the mock drafts, but we found that the people that have come on have really enjoyed it because it's not something they're doing on the regular. And also doing two helps because as you saw in that first one, we kind of know how the board falls a little bit and like where the runs come because we do this so much. But it's interesting to see you for like the first or second time maybe, and then say, oh, wow, now I see what's going on with this one. Pivot, make some changes on the second one. I think is one of the more interesting things we've seen throughout this process, right, George?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
Yeah, immediately, like as soon as we took Trey Harris, it's like, can we can't back it up. Can we back it up? The GM can't back it up, so I won't do it. I'm gonna have to stand on it.
but also this one I thought was nice. The second one because it showed you what a little move back can do. It definitely looked like a more proper draft than the.
I'd say I like the second simulator a little bit more because I kind of feel like the trading is more realistic too. Because it felt like the first one we're running through PFF, and I'm like, yeah, Lord, these teams are stingy, bro. Like I don't like that isn't a reality. Come on.
Yeah, getting the offers is definitely better than trying to go in there and force them on your own.
Yep,
I agree.
Agreed.
Derek, what you got coming up, man? What you guys doing over there at Fantasy Pros before the draft gets here?
So much stuff, dude. We got so we're streaming day 1 and day 2 of the NFL draft. I'll basically be live for the entire first round outside of like 3 picks. I go off camera to like get something to drink and use the bathroom, and then I'm right back here talking. So I'm talking 29 out of the 32 picks for night 1. Day 2, we're going to be live breaking everything down on the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel as well for both of those. So everybody subscribe, tune into those. Absolutely. As well as my labor of love, the Fantasy Pros NFL Draft Show. I mean, we've got all the episodes live up on YouTube right now. Podcast feed for the Fantasy Pros Dynasty podcast feed is out there where you can, I mean, we've had a laundry list of awesome guests the entire off season. We just put out the last 2 episodes of Polarizing Players and Sleepers. We had Brett Coleman and EJ Snyder from Bootleg come on. Love those guys. Elite ball knowers. Love them. We're going to have some guys, Ryan Noonan and Connor Allen, stop by next week and we're going to just discuss how to bet the NFL draft. So if that tickles your fancy, tune into that.
Great. Yeah, I'm definitely checking that one out. Yeah,
awesome. Dude, make some money. Let's make some money. And for me personally, all the content's at fantasypros.com. My positional primers write-ups are all live on the site. They've already updated the comps. I'm still adding to those. So right now, after I get off with you guys, I got 3 players on the docket. I got to go watch and write up. And this is all building. So those primers for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end are live on the site. They're all updated. But the thing that really right now I'm in the weeds and getting even deeper with, I am still building towards my top 100 board, and that is only skill players. So no other, no trench, no offensive line. It is only quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. I will have 100 players with full write-ups, comps, stats, everything live. I'm shooting for Wednesday, so it's done. We have time to spit shine it and get it live on the site before the NFL draft kicks off for round 1.
Hell yeah, dude. It's awesome.
Sounds awesome. Too bad you got nothing to do, buddy.
Yeah, idle hands, right? I got I think 17 players that I have left to write up and get through before Wednesday. So grind never stops, boys. You know how it goes.
Yes, we
100%.
do. And it's a time like no other. This is the time of the year where I start sweating my Scott Fishbowl invitation every day as I see people tweet them until I get mine. So
You get it. You
always
get
fun.
it. Scott,
We've
Scott
been
always
doing it the
comes
last
through,
couple of
man.
years.
I
But
love Fish.
He's awesome.
Nice. Derek, thank you, buddy. We appreciate you.
All right, brother.
Thank you for having me, boys. It was awesome, as always.
Good.
All right.